Hetepu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer. This is Kasak Ma Keperu with another video for you. And I have a very interesting video for you today. But before I go into that, I want you to hit the like button. And if this is your first time watching, please subscribe to my channel so you can get notifications of future releases of videos. And also share this video with family and friends so we can get this revolution started. Now, I have an interesting article for you from the Daily Mail. And this is about a woman who was breastfeeding her child on a plane and now is getting accused of trying to steal other men by showing her breasts. So there was a woman on the plane said, oh, she's pulling out her breasts and she's trying to tease my man or get my man by showing off her bust. All right, so let's go right into this. It says, these are my breasts, hear them roar. Mom who has been accused of trying to steal men by nursing in public fires back by sharing nude photos of herself breastfeeding her 2-year-old. So let's see what the story is here. Rika, and she has a very interesting name because you got Ka, which is Ka. And in the Kemetic science, Ka is a life force essence. So it's a really good name. Rika Naira, 39, revealed she was on a flight with her 34-month-old daughter, Ilo, when a woman degraded her for breastfeeding her little girl in public. The New York-based photographer said the woman called her disgusting and accused her of trying to steal her man by quietly breastfeeding. Rika, who is originally from Finland, now that's very important, keep that in mind, Finland, has been breastfeeding her daughter since she was born in November 2015 and has never given her formula. I think that's wonderful because you don't want to give your baby any formula or cow's milk. With more than 31,000 Instagram followers, she uses her platform to educate critics about the benefits of breastfeeding and extended breastfeeding. We'll talk about that a little later. The mom has shared numerous nude photos of her nursing her daughter in defiance of her critics. Now, when I heard about the Instagram account, I got worried because, I'm a filmmaker, so I get a lot of young women who are sending me their headshots and photos, and a lot of them send me their Instagram account to check out their photos online. And, it's really gotten out of hand where a lot of women who just want, attention to be validated have these Instagram accounts where they're half nude and showing off their booties and whatever. And it just gets annoying. And they get a lot of followers and they think that can translate into some type of fame or notoriety, but it doesn't, because what you have is what they call thirsty guys following them and hitting them up saying, yo, baby, what you doing, I mean, when I put one photo of my cute self on Instagram, all the girls were like, yo, you fine, man. You booty fine. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, let's go into this and see what these photos look like, because I was really worried when she said she had an Instagram account. And I'm like, oh, I hope these photos aren't racy of her breastfeeding her little girl. So let's look at this. And I'm going to lead all of this to a major point, so it's going to tie into something else, so stay with me here. Okay, here's Rika and here's a little girl. Oh, she's cute. And this is a really nice photo of the two of them. I don't see anything bad about this. There she is again with her little girl. Okay, nice. And ooh, this is a nice one here. Now her little girl to me is a bit old to still be breastfeeding, but she's practicing extended breastfeeding, which I had alluded to earlier. So that's her choice, And it's funny here because it took me a while to notice there was an owl in this picture, There's Rika and her husband and a little girl there. Now, I mentioned before that she's from Finland, and the reason why that's important to note is because Europeans don't have the hang-up that Westerners do about nudity. So this is, perfectly fine to her, and I can see why she doesn't understand why Americans are going crazy about this. In fact, when I went overseas and I was watching public television, I noticed they had nudity on television. I was like, wow. Okay, so this is a nice vintage one of the three of them. Nice outfits. The little girl's cute. Here we go. More photographs. Okay. Oh, this is a nice one here. Now, obviously, she's 39 years old, Rika. I'm sure she knows she's getting older. So her Instagram account, I'm pretty sure, is not just meant as a means to educate people on breastfeeding, but also she's gaining a lot of validation of her looks by having guys like it, follow her, and all things of that nature, you know. Because, I mean, we have to be honest here. I mean, you know, women get to a certain age, they start to feel it, and they need that attention. They don't get the same attention they used to get when they were 25. So they still yearn for that useful look and validation, and Instagram can provide that. So I don't see anything that's really racy about these photos or bad, you know. Then again, I don't know what she was doing on that plane and how she was breastfeeding or like the whole scenario there. So nobody was there, so we don't know like what exactly happened, you know. So here we go again, another photo there. Nice photo of all three. I used to take photography in school. Oh, little girl, cute. Okay. And there we go, and we got a little doggy in there. Oh my God, this is so racy. Look at the dog. How dare they put a dog in the picture with them? This is crazy. And there, oh, it's a nice black and white one. This is a really, really nice one. Okay. So I think these photographs are very nice and, you know, in good taste. Oh, there's a baby, a newborn. That's our little girl. And this is when she was pregnant. I think it's beautiful to see a woman who's pregnant like this, you know. Now, the point I wanted to make, I won't get into this article, but I'll put it in the description box so you can go see it and read it for yourself, is this. It is a very sad state of affairs that when a woman can't breastfeed in public, there is nothing wrong with the human body and the female body. All women, and let me just say this again, all women are beautiful, okay? And we as a society has turned the naked body into something sinful, into something disgusting, into something to lust after. And that is not the way our ancient ancestors lived. In fact, if you remember the article I shared on a previous video where I talked about Herodotus, the father of history, the Greek historian, when he went to ancient Kemet, Egypt, one of the things he wrote about was how the children played around naked. And there were no pedophiles. There was no shaming of the body. So this led to so much damage in our society today. If you look at the Muslim countries where they have their women all in black, covered from head to toe, you can barely see anything but their eyes. That's an attempt to keep men from lusting after them or other men from lusting after their women or whatever. We have to understand that nothing, as Tudi says, or Jehuti or Tha says, nothing has a quality in and of itself. We color it with a quality, a label, a definition, sebek, and that gets things or us into a world of trouble. You understand? And the mere fact that we have perverted the human body and made it into something that is sinful, and this comes out of the Christian church, let's place blame where it needs to be placed, led to things like the witch hunt, where women in their bodies were evil. You understand what I'm saying? And this notion has led to sexism, the oppression of women, created women as lustful sex objects. Because before the Roman Emperor Constantine came along in 325 AD and rewrote the Bible, the women were seen from a much different perspective. In fact, they were deities, female. We put them on a pedestal. We understood that the female principle was essential to nature and the operation of the universe. Where you had Tahuti, you had to have Ma'at. Where you had to have a Sar, you had to have a Set. It was one half of a whole, a complete whole. But your ministers, your pastors, the current ministers and pastors that you see preaching every Sunday are the ones responsible for twisting and perverting the female body into something that is evil. In fact, when you look at our ancient indigenous ancestors, you will see that they walk around in their communities, in their tribal communities, naked, with no men looking at them with lustful eyes or thinking perverted thoughts. Like, here's a shot of a woman and her baby. No one is freaking out about her nudity or even think that she's nude. That's not even a concept that our ancient ancestors had. The body was seen as natural. But yet, women are not even given the opportunity in today's society to be a part of the religious community. And what I mean by that is that you will see the majority of pastors, ministers, they are male. And in ancient Kemet, the women were the first priestesses or priests. And we know this because prior to the Council of Nicaea, they had Auset, Isis, or Mary as one of the primal deities. And the moon cult was a big cult. Moon symbolization of the female principle. But now we see women's body is perverted. We have to look at it as though she has to cover up, and she can't even talk about her menstrual cycle because, that's taboo. Whereas in Kemet, we saw that the inundation of the Nile, the red mud, was a symbol of the woman's menstrual cycle. And not only that, we tracked the inundation of the Nile through what we call as cycles, women's cycles. So we saw how women were an integral part of nature, the universe, and we respected them. Hence, when you look at the pharaohs, the kings in ancient Kemet or other parts of Africa, you had the male sitting on one side, next to him the female, to show that complement. Where you had the male god, you had next to him the goddess. And you can slowly see the erosion of that as the culture migrated from Egypt to Greece to Rome, to where it became more about the man's body, and then it became more about how the woman's body was evil. It tempted men, and it went on further and further until where you have women were persecuted. Then you had the witch hunts, the witch trials. All of that came out of this perverted view of a woman's body. And in ancient times, we practiced something called Meneb and Ankh and Ma'at, meaning to still the heart to live truth. So those men in Arab countries, now I'm not placing judgment, but what I'm saying is, if your heart is still and you're living truth, you don't have to have a woman cover up from head to toe, because you won't be tempted, because you've not placed or assigned a value onto her, meaning that you're not saying that, she's you're not looking at her as something evil or wrong, but an integral part of nature, integral part of the universe, or she is God woman and you are God man. So with that, I just want to bring this to a close. I hope this really brings the message across. But one final thing I want to say is that out of the Christian church, we have this whole idea that the earth is 6,000 years old. That's, and the first people on the earth were Adam and Eve, and they were naked. And, it wasn't until they ate from, I believe, the apple that they gained the knowledge and saw themselves as their naked body as sinful. And that is bullshit, okay? Because if we're looking at today and how people's reaction are with a woman just breastfeeding her body, I don't believe that two individuals of white skin complexion walked around naked and didn't have a problem with that, because we know that it was coming out of native indigenous cultures, melanated people, that the ideology that you were one with nature and the body was a natural part of that, and nothing to be looked at as wrong or sinful or evil. That comes out directly, again, let me say it, of indigenous people of color, because we were right brain, integrated brain thinkers. And when you're an integrated brain thinker, you see how one is a symbol or a metaphor for another. This is why Kemet, Egypt, they really liked puns. So we made those connections. We connected the dots. Whereas in Western culture, and specifically deriving out of Europe, you'll see that things are disconnected. There is no connection between the body, the female body, and nature. So you'll see like her cycles are something to be shunned, because going back in the olden days, as they say it, the colloquial saying, is that when a woman had her cycle, you had to stay away from her. So these things are the product of a religious institution that had no understanding of God, no tolerance or understanding of women, and how that their God feminine principle ran through the universe and through nature and gave birth to everything. So, okay, with that, this is Kasak Ma Keperu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti, Amen Ra.